Good evening, everyone. Today is Monday, January 22nd. This is a regular session of the School Board of Trustees of the School City of East Chicago. The time is 6:03. The place is the Administration Building, 1401 East 144th Street, East Chicago, Indiana, 46312. We're also via live stream at www.scec.k12.in.us. This is a meeting of the school board in public to conduct the school corporation business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King? Yes. Trustee Gomez?
Present.
Trustee Smith?
Present.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Present. May we please rise for the pledge? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Couldn't get it out.
All right, before we start the regular business session, I'd like to turn it over to Attorney Harris to address the board vacancy update.
Yes.
Attorney Harris.
Thank you, Mr. President. As you all know, that the board has been working to try to resolve the vacancy that we currently have on the school board. There has been an executive session that's scheduled for this Wednesday evening. The expectation is that following that executive session, we'll be able to make further announcement about the continuation and finalization of the process to fill the vacancy. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Attorney Harris. Next is the agenda 3.1, the approval of the agenda. Are there any comments from the audience on approving the agenda today? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
I want to ask a question about the agenda before we approve it. Is that permissible?
I think a motion, should we get a motion first, or before we start asking questions on it? Can we get a motion first?
Okay, go ahead.
Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there a second? I'll second that motion. Trustee Gibson King, go ahead.
Yes, but I want to ask a question about, there's no number on here. I don't want to call it an individual's name. I don't understand why we don't have numbers anymore on some of these people's names, because I would have to call this individual's name. Yeah. Yeah.
Is it the personnel?
So, yeah, personnel report, yeah. I'm sorry, it's a personnel report, yeah. So I could count down if you want me to.
What's on there?
Sure.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Mr. President, I'd like to motion to remove line 7 from the personnel report.
Motion made by Trustee Smith. Is there a second?
I second it.
Second by Trustee Gibson King. Are there any questions or comments?
Yes, I have a question.
Trustee Gomez?
This is regarding that item that's requested for removal. Is there a reason for that?
Is there a reason for the removal?
Yes, it is. To my understanding, number 7, we had voted for, sorry, I don't have my paperwork, but for him to be moved to the Teamsters. That was voted on last year, if I'm not mistaken. And the position has not been filled yet. Does that answer your question?
Let me expound on a little bit more detail here. Yeah, you're right. It was.
Ms. King, could you please speak up a little louder? I'm
Yes,
sorry.
You're right. It was voted on February the 6th. But the concern here is this position was not posted. This is a union position. It's Teamsters. Here on the, and I did have some conversation with Mr. Mitchell, right, Mr. Mitchell? We talked about this Friday. Yes, and I do have all documentation to substantiate what has happened here. Now, I don't have to go into no details, but I think that this does need to be removed.
Thank you.
Any other discussion?
Yes, follow-up to that question is the job title is listed as Teamster. Is there a job title that's listed as Teamster?
Dr. Mitchell?
That individual was returning to the position that he held before stepping into the administrative role. And at that time, in the system, it was listed as Teamster.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. I'll ask the question again. Is there a position listed as Teamster?
Trustee Gomez, the answer will still be the same. In the system, for that particular position that he held prior to becoming an administrator, that was what was listed in the system as his job title. Now, I can tell you what his duties and responsibilities were at that time, and that was he was doing landscaping grounds and some light carpentry.
Is that a yes or a no?
In the system, the position was listed as Teamster.
Thank you. And the job description, you have that available?
The job description, he was in that position a while ago, and that position was never filled.
Do you have a job description, yes or no?
Yes, there are job descriptions.
Thank you.
Any other discussions? And I do remember this vaguely in terms of this particular individual, and that is, there was an agreement that was worked out. The board had agreed on this particular agreement, but it seems like there's a cart before the horse. I believe that one position had to be filled before another position before he's brought back to that position, is what I understood. So we can probably go over, maybe clarify this with the entire board once we all get the update in terms of what's going on with this particular position. Madam Secretary, roll call.
I'm not done yet.
Trustee Gomez.
I did not sign this document because of the approval that had taken place. I don't recall the exact month, but sometime a few months ago, Ms. Bigham gave me documents to sign for administrators. This is the only one I didn't sign because I'm not really clear on what is going on with this position. The position I was asked to sign, I believe, was Facilities Director. Is that correct? Okay. So I don't see how the board can approve a Teamster position and then be asked to put my name on a document where we've already approved him to be a Teamster, but yet he's still being paid as director, correct?
Yeah, that a job that he's, from my understanding, said that he
Yes.
could no longer do.
Right. So
Think of the job.
what happened on January 16th of 2023, this individual resigned that position. The agreement that was worked out with the past superintendent was that upon the resignation, that after he would continue serving in the position as facilities director until such time as another director was identified. And upon the other person being identified to go into the position, that he would return back to a previous position that he held.
So I don't recall another person being brought forth as a facilities director.
We can't bring back another person until the position is vacated.
Okay, you said there was an agreement for
Yeah.
that, though, so.
That agreement was January 16th.
Yeah, he did agree to that.
But it was not approved by the board. They agreed to that. We didn't approve that. We did not approve any of that behavior, none of that.
I'm going to call the vote. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King,
No,
trustee Gomez,
This is to remove the item?
right.
Is that what we voting to remove the item? Oh, well,
Remove the
then,
item.
yes.
Yes.
When we vote on this personnel report, yes.
Pass.
Same. Okay. Trustee Smith,
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez.
Yes. And this is just to get more clarity in terms of what we're voting on here. Now we're going to approve the agenda as amended. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Mr. Chairman, I'm not done.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes, thank you. I have a question on the individual that falls underneath the facilities, which is the clerk 2 at Harrison. There are 4 people listed underneath there as voluntary transfers. This one is listed as an involuntary transfer. What does that mean?
Voluntary transfers, the difference between voluntary and involuntary transfers, the voluntary transfers are people who, when those jobs were opened up because of the movement from other individuals taking positions, those people that they have a period of 7 days in which to be able to, what they call bump. They can go into a position because they're union. And so those are voluntary transfers. Involuntary transfer is a transfer that's done by the administration.
And what is the purpose of the transfer?
There was an administrative move for the, actually, that was an administrative move that we did for the efficiency and effectiveness of running a district in that particular department. That individual's salary did not change. They moved from one area to another area. It's really out of a necessity for the district.
And where did they move from?
They moved from facilities to Harrison. And at this time, if you recall, we are cross-training all of our clerks to be able to fill other positions. Remember, we talked about having one clerk position, have these clerks be able to fulfill many different responsibilities across the district.
So that moved from, that then opened up the Secretary 1 position? That, there's two line items down from that?
Yes, that, if you look at it, most of there was 7 clerk positions. There was movement within 7, actually 9 clerk positions, because 2 of the clerk positions had movement in November, that those movements didn't take place until January. So there was 9 movements of clerks during this time period.
And are all the salaries, do they, in other words, are they transferring to, you mentioned that there was no loss of pay. Does that apply to the
If a
others?
person was making a higher amount and was moved to another position, their pay moved with them.
Okay. And then, does the same apply for the others that follow?
The same applies to the others. There was no one that moved to a lower paying position.
I have a question on page 4. And page 5. I'm just curious, the last 2 people on here, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people who are doing after-school tutoring, who are listed as paras. The last 2 are not paras. Can you explain those 2?
Are you talking about 122, 2024, 122, 2024?
You said 1, 2, 3,
Those are all the
4,
same.
5. You said the last 2,
Yes, the last 2.
That's
all right? I don't have RDS right in front of me. I'm not, oh, there, it says there's security. Yeah, anytime that we have students in the building or administrators in the building, we have to have security in the building. So along with the tutoring, security has to be present to ensure that the safety and security of our children.
Okay, good. This is not, so they're not tutoring.
They're not tutoring, they're providing security.
It'd been helpful if you'd identified that in the job, in the comment section. Thank you.
And I do have one question in regards to, oh, I'm sorry, Trustee Gomez, you're done?
Yeah, I believe so. Thank you.
Okay. I do have one question in regards to the movements of these secretaries. Once they completed their cross-training, do they return back to their original positions?
Secretaries have an opportunity to move in a district where needed. So right now, when the secretary is out, we may need to move one secretary to another place to fill those responsibilities. Case in point, we have a secretary that's out right now at one of the schools. We had to move a secretary from the high school to the early learning academy to make sure that we have a consistency of those duties being done, such as payroll, registration, and those activities. So these clerks, they have the understanding that they have an assignment where they sit, but they can be called to another building to fulfill and assist in those other buildings to ensure the school district is moving and the work is being done in accordance. So yes, they're assigned to a place for a payroll perspective, but they can also find themselves performing other duties across the district that's needed.
Thank you.
I just got one question I want to ask, Mr.
Trustee
Chairman.
Gibson King?
But yeah, where is facilities at? Where is this located at? Where is this?
Facilities is
Where-
located at the Carrigosh and Calumet.
Okay, that's Kerry Gosh. Okay. All right, thank you.
All right, Madam Secretary, roll call.
I'm sorry, one
Oh,
final
Trustee
question.
Gomez?
Yes, I apologize. I just noticed that there's no hourly pay rate for those last two individuals, one on page 4, the top one on page 5.
They will be paid their regular rate.
Okay.
Only when pay changes do we put a pay rate on there. Security, they're paid the rate based on how long they've been here and if there's been any bumps in their pay, but normally there's a pay range and they will be paid in accordance to what their current pay is now.
All right, thank you.
Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes,
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 4, new business, 4.1, approval of personnel report. Are there any comments from the audience in approving the personnel report? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve item 4.01?
Make a motion for approval.
Okay, motion is made by Trustee Smith. Is there a second? I'll second that motion. Are there any discussions?
for clarity, this is the amended personnel report?
That is correct.
Thank you.
Madam Secretary, roll call.
I'm sorry, what was your question?
The amended personnel report.
Oh, yeah, they did.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 4.02, approval of claim dockets. Are there any comments from the audience in approving the claim dockets? Hearing none, do I hear a motion to approve item 4.02?
Make a motion for approval for 4.02.
Motion made by Trustee Smith. Are there any, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Trustee Gibson King. Are there any discussions?
Yes. I have a
Trustee
question-
Gomez?
Thank you. I have a question regarding the claim docket
Which page?
itself. There, if I'm not mistaken, we're being asked to approve 2 claim dockets here or just one?
There's two claim dockets.
I
There
would
was
just like
two,
that to be on the record so that we know what we're approving.
Yeah, because, right,
We're approving oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I believe we're approving two claim dockets, correct? Yes. And that's from the previous board meeting as well as, okay, this one, yes. So you're correct, Trustee Gomez, it is two claim dockets.
Yeah, I would just like us
So
to
we better-
identify that on the claim docket. We're asking the public for feedback, but, I think they're under the assumption that we're only approving one tonight.
well, part of the reason that there's two claim dockets is because the last board meeting, claim docket wasn't approved, and 2 weeks have passed, and now there's another claim docket. So in order to make sure that these vendors are paid appropriately, we need to approve both claim dockets so that the vendors that we have and contractors that we have are indeed paid.
I'm just trying to be transparent with the community, that they know that we're approving two claim dockets. When we're putting stuff like this on the agenda, I'd appreciate if we were a little more explicit about what we're doing, so the community knows what we're doing. They can therefore comment.
Mr. President, Trustee Gomez, I understand what you're saying, but had the meeting not been adjourned, this first claim docket would have been approved. So it is, everyone knows what happened when you all exit the room, business was not taken care of on hand. So this is why we have the two claim dockets. So that those who are listening, we're approving two claim dockets from the last board meeting and this one.
That's what I said.
Well, I was just explaining it to you again because you act like you didn't know.
I don't think you.
I'm
knew
gonna
that.
call the
It's not-
vote.
It's not on the docket.
I'm going to call the vote.
I think that what we need to do is,
On the board.
we're gonna vote on both of them. Let's just put the date, let's have the dates in here. We want to make sure we got the dates. That's my concern.
And there would have been no issue if we'd have put down the two dates here.
Yeah, we
could
got to have the dates.
Approval of one claim docket and approval of another one. It could have been that simple.
All right, let's do
Right.
this.
Well, that could have been that simple, but if you're gonna approve it, approve it. If not, then don't.
All right, let's get some order here. So here's what we're going to do. A claim docket 1/18/2024, as well as claim docket 12/29/2023 for approval.
Right, we got to put it down here.
Okay. Madam Secretary, roll call for both claim dockets.
Just a point of order, if I may,
Trustee Gomez.
I'm going to defer to Attorney Harris here. Would you recommend that we do these as two separate claim dockets?
Normally, yes, you have the ability to make a motion together or separate, but typically, you always want to handle items separately.
And then in that case, I'd like to amend or make a secondary motion, because I do agree with Attorney Harris. I think to be a more responsible, functional board, we need to do this in orderly fashion. So my motion would be to approve one claim docket at a time, the first one being the claim docket for 1/8/24.
All right, so there's a motion made by Trustee Gomez to approve each claim docket at a time. Do I hear a second?
Yeah, I'll second the motion.
Second by Trustee Gibson King.
Yeah.
Madam Secretary, roll call? On approving the claim dockets separate.
Right.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. So starting with the first claim docket, which is 1/8/2024, do I hear a motion to approve that claim docket?
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Gomez. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Trustee Smith. Are there any discussions? Hearing none. Madam Secretary, roll call?
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Second motion, or the motion for claim docket 1/22/2024 as amended. Do I hear a motion to approve that?
So moved.
Motion made by Trustee Gomez. Is there a second?
Yeah, we got, okay. this
Second
is
by Trustee Smith. Are there any
The
discussions?
same, Sue? What's this, 120? Yeah. Okay, claim dockets, okay. Yes, okay.
Madam Secretary, roll call.
I'm sorry, there's questions.
What are we voting?
Yeah, she had a question with regards
I
to,
had the wrong paper.
yeah, she had the wrong document.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Point of order is for a question. Page 19 of claim docket,
Which
Which
date?
12224
Yep.
or 12324, whichever date you want to go by.
What page?
Page 19,
Okay.
the check number is 114400.
Yes, that is one of our special ed contractors. And she has, whenever she sees students, she does the special ed cases for us, IEPs. She does sessions with our families, and she also does some other things within the school corporation. And this is just her reimbursement of her for services rendered during that time period.
Thank you, I was confused with another name. I appreciate it.
That's Trent's wife.
Any other discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes,
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. 4.03, we're probably going to go through the same situation, so I'm just going to break them down by dates. 4.03, approval distribution of payroll. Is there any comments from the audience with regards to approving the distribution of payroll for 1/5/2024 and 12/22, right? 2023. Please state your name for the record.
Kenneth Monroe, 3831 Ivy Street. Okay, you guys, again, just like the, your payroll docket and claim docket. Why was there two separate ones? I know, I just want to hear it from y'all. Is it because somebody walked out? And they do truly understand what they're doing today, trying to confuse you. So y'all stay to the hip, because he's real slick now. That's it.
Any other comments from the audience? Hearing none, do I hear a motion from the board approving item 4.03?
Mr. Chairman,
This would be, we're going to start with distribution of payroll 12/22/2023.
yes, Mr. Chairman, to keep the
Trustee
integrity of the
Gomez?
board and the transparency that we strive for, I ask for approval of distribution of payroll for 12/22/23.
Motion made by trustee Gomez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Smith, are there any discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes,
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. For the second part, distribution of payroll on 1/5/2024, do I hear a motion?
so moved.
Motion made by trustee Gomez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Smith. Are there any discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes,
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 4.04, approval of Geminis Regional Care Group entitled Too Good for Drugs. Dr. Mitchell?
Yes, this MOU is a continuation of the MOU that we had last year for Too Good for Drugs. This is a program that's established by Geminis Corps, and what they aim to do is to educate our students about the drugs and also provide professional development training for our teachers. This particular MOU pays the district. We don't pay anything for that, but they pay our district for the professional development of our teachers for the benefit of our students.
Are there any comments from the audience in approving the Geminis Regional Care Group entitled Too Good for Drugs. Hearing none, do I hear a motion from the board approving item 4.04?
So moved.
Motion made by trustee Gomez, is there a second?
Second.
A second by trustee Smith. Are there any discussions? I do have one. With regards to the pay, is it not to exceed 5,000, or is it, how does that work? I didn't see any.
Not to exceed.
Not to exceed? Okay. Any other discussions? Madam Secretary, roll call?
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. 4.05, approval of IRS mileage rate 2024. Dr. Mitchell?
Yes, every year at the beginning of the year, the Internal Revenue Services puts out a recommendation, not a recommendation, put out a mandate for mileage reimbursement. This year's mileage reimbursement, there's an increase from .655 cents to .67 cent per mile. This is effective January 1st, and this is, we're asking for the board to approve this so we can make the appropriate changes within our systems.
Are there any comments from the audience in approving the IRS mileage rate for 2024? Hearing none, do I hear a motion from the board approving item 4.05?
I move for approval.
Motion made by trustee Gomez, is there a second?
Second.
Second by trustee Smith, are there any discussions? Hearing none, Madam Secretary, roll call?
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith?
Yes.
Chairman Rodriguez?
Yes. Item 5, interim superintendent remarks. Dr. Mitchell.
Yes, again, I want to thank you all for allowing me to sit in this seat and to serve the district. My remarks today is going to be a little longer than they have been previously because we just have a lot of important things to share. First thing I want to begin with is that next week on Thursday is our ADM count. The ADM count is the day that we go in and we do an attendance count to determine how many students we have in the district. That number of students we have in the district at that time, there's a formula that's put in place that determines how much we'll get reimbursed to the district. So it's very important, not only for those in attendance in the audience today, but the school board as well as the community, parents and students to know that on Thursday to do whatever you can possible to make sure that you're in school on that day so that you can be counted. Your count makes this district run. Without you, without our students being present on that day, those are dollars that we don't have to serve you. So I just want to let the community know, our parents know, our clergy, our students, anyone that's listening, and anyone that's going to share it with anyone else, make sure that our students are in school on Thursday. It's very important to the well-being and vitality of our district. Also, we put in a program a couple of years ago, I believe, when I was here before, and that program was to train up our teachers that we have within the district. And I'm proud to say that we have a young lady that received her degree over the holiday. Actually, we have two. One is, if you don't mind, can I say her name? Her name has already been in the newspaper a couple of times. This right here really does my heart proud because this young lady fought me hand and foot from day to day.
Yes, she
I am not
did.
going to school, I'm not doing this,
Yes,
I'm
she
not doing
did.
that. I said, but you only have a few more credits. You can do this, and because I can't renew your EP anymore. The state's not going to do it. And after 16 years of her just being out there, she completed her degree in 4 months. Her name is Miss Stacy Holden. But not only did she complete her degree, she's also been recognized by not Indiana University Northwest, but by the president of the Indiana University system, Dr. Pamela Witten. And Pamela is she's telling her story that, hey, it's never too late. This young lady
So just say,
stopped out. We call it stopping out. She stopped out 16 years ago, came back, completed strong. I think that's a testimony to perseverance, to dedication, but also to the support that we give our teachers here in the school city of East Chicago. She completed this without paying one dime out of her pocket. So I want to thank you, the board, for approving that program. We also have, we've been engaging our students at all levels in leadership development. I had the opportunity to speak to some of our athletes last week. And I spoke with my directors today, and we all agreed that we will go into our buildings as central office, go into all the buildings and meet with our student leaders, meet with our student councils, the athletes, just children in general, and just let them know what leadership is and what it does and what it can do in terms of their career and their aspirations and their dreams, turning those dreams into realities. This is going to be a leadership development program that will be led from the top down. And we feel that by doing that, we can inspire some that lights have gone a little dim. And so not only that, we want to also begin to bring more leaders from the outside in. Last month, we brought in Carlos Ayala, the Senior Vice President of NIPSCO. Next month, we're bringing in the Vice President of the Goldman Sachs Foundation to talk about entrepreneurship. Again, we have these people at our disposal. We need to use these individuals to inspire not only our children in our district, but also our parents and community. You know, voices count. Listening to voices count even more. We need to listen to our children's voices, but we also need to give them good, positive voices to listen to. Again, we never know who's going to impact who. Also, I've challenged my directors to begin to become active grant writers. We do a very good job at bringing in non-competitive grants. Those are your title grants, Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV. We don't do a great job at going after competitive grants. Those are grants by the Department of Labor, the Department of Education, the EPA, IDEM, and all these EPA, and all these various organizations. I challenged my directors to begin to do that. So I was glad to say that we will be going after 2 grants within the next 30 days that hopefully will make a difference in this district if we get them. But even if we don't win those grants, the activity of going to compete for one of those grants makes a huge difference. It turns someone's negative energy into positive energy when they see what all it takes to go into that. But then when you win one, what that does to not only themselves as professionals, but what it does to what it can do to the district with revenue and resources coming into the district that we hadn't budgeted for or anticipated. That's what grants have the ability to do, and that's what I challenged the directors in this school district to do. But that call goes out to all of our teachers and anybody that wants to write a grant. We will partner with you. We will support you, because this is how you make an average school district turn into an exceptional school district. We can't do it alone. We have to do it together. So I want to thank you guys for that. And we're also are building a consortium of stakeholders to support the prioritization of rigor and relevance in our district. We do have a lot of stakeholders that's out there, and as we are on this journey to become innovative and transformative, we need a lot of people to support us as we support our students. And again, we do want to move from just marginal outcomes to exceptional performance. And of course, this will have the ability to change the culture and climate of our district. We change the culture and climate of the district. We change the product that leaves our district. And so what that essentially means is that we turn someone with a mentality of I can't do to a mentality that I can do, and that has a generational effects of positive. And so we're just trying to do everything that we can to be positive. Also, I know that we can't hear enough about Carrie Gosh. Last week, Carrie Gosh had a visit from the state of Indiana, the Child Care and Development Fund by the Indiana Family and Social Services Administration. Carrie Gosh is once again a revenue producer. Beginning April 1st, we will be able to be reimbursed for those students that's at Carrie Gosh. That hasn't been done in quite some time. This is what happens when we support and encourage our leaders in the district, to give them the tools and resources that they need to do the job that we know that we put them in position to do. When we handcuff people, we also handcuff their creativity, we handcuff their innovation, we handcuff them from becoming the transformational leader that we know that we hire them to be. So I would ask that we take off the handcuffs, let people do their jobs, and let's support them with the resources and the professional development that they need to go to the next level. Again, when they go to the next level, we all go to the next level. I'm going to say that again. When our leaders go to the next level, our teachers go to the next level, our students go to the next level, our community goes to the next level. We need to be thinking next level. We can't continue to do what we've always done, otherwise we'll end up where we've always been. We got to do better. And then the last piece I want to talk about is just an update. This is the legislative session we're in, and I've tried to make sure that East Chicago has been heard, so I've been talking to many of our elected officials that's down in Indianapolis now. There's a few bills that we want to make sure that we pay very close attention to. One is addressing child behavior, and this particular bill is looking at access to behavioral health, and we know that this is something that we all struggle with, social emotional learning, all those, MTSS, all of that falls up under that. The state legislatures are now in session really looking at that and trying to put resources in place from kindergarten up, focusing on reading readiness, chronic absenteeism, and this is one that I'm very proud of because I've been screaming about this from day one. Lead poisoning is now a part of that conversation, as well as blunting damage caused by technology. And I say that because we know what happened in Calumet. A lot of attention was paid by the feds, the state, and everybody, then kind of disappeared. However, we had a number of families that moved away, and some of those families have come back and their children have come back. They've come back into the district, but they don't come back the same. They come back needing additional resources. By adding lead poisoning to this bill means that if this bill is passed, we're going to get resources to support those children that has been adversely affected by lead. So again, as elected officials, as community members, as parents, as teachers, we have to advocate for our community. And when we advocate for our community, we have to give them specific things that we want to see. And we need to see this lead poisoning be addressed. The second one is career awareness and exploration, and this focuses on the implementation and evolution of professional apprenticeships and success stories and getting employers to walk alongside schools. Again, you all were aware of the board meeting before last. I spoke and I told you that we had signed an articulation agreement with the Carpenters and Millwrights Union, as well as IBEW. This is what this bill addresses, except it puts resources behind it, and now it's kind of forcing those corporations to come alongside. And so it's these things that when we advocate for, if we tell people exactly what we want, and then we put our actions to it, usually people will move. And so let's continue to push on these unions who have historically blocked out black and brown, which is our community. That's 100% of our community, black and brown population. And the black and brown population have been historically left out of unions, made very challenging to get in. With that articulation agreement that you all signed, and I'm glad that you did sign it, if any student takes one of those pre-apprenticeship classes, upon graduation, they can immediately go into a union without going through all of the craziness that has been historically put in place as barriers. So again, let's pay very close attention to the documents that we sign, and thanks a lot, Attorney Harris, to the documents that we sign, but we need to make sure that when we do something, we sign a contract, that there's something that's going to benefit our students in our community. We sign a lot of things that benefits no one except for the person whose name is on it. We need to sign things that's going to benefit our students in our community. And then there's another bill, students and school safety. And this particular bill prioritizes information flow between stakeholders. And this is dealing with social media, cybersecurity, bus stop arm violations. And we've had some issues with bus drivers in the past, and this particular bill really puts some more language around the violations that our citizens do when buses are there, but also puts some more language into what it means to be a professional bus driver for a school district. That's very important. We know that we have a hard time getting bus drivers, but getting a bus driver that's not holding our students in as high as regard as we hold them as parents, that's a no-no. So this particular language goes towards that. We have two more. The education profession bill, this particular bill puts a large tent around helping teachers move from an EP status or a para status to a licensed teacher status by focusing on innovative education prep programs and those initiatives associated with that. So that's one bill that we all want to make sure we trumpet. That's where we get our Stacey Holdens from. That's where we get our Alexandria Watkins from. Those folk who have been out there for a while wanting to get a degree, not having the dollars to do it, and then we come along, support them, and they make it across the finish line. Let's continue to support that so we can get more people across that finish line. And then the last bill I want to share is our regulatory relief bill. And this particular bill is focused on building and solidifying the governmental norm to stop potential mandates on educators before they move. And this includes the expiration dates, limit on mandatory testing, and also this bill focuses on on growth and data that helps individual students. And it's focusing on those data to not focus on a certain population of students, but also the economy and scale of those students. So this particular bill is looking at all students. The bills before, they put things in place, they only focused on either high achievers, everyone else was penalized. This is focusing on all children, whether they are failing or average or high achieving. It's saying that from economies of scale that they want to really address the regulatory relief by removing the barriers that certain mandates put in place that has handicapped the growth of our schools and our children. That's all I have to say right now, but again, I always like to end by thanking you for allowing me to sit in this seat to serve your children and to serve this community that we all love. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Mitchell. Next, we'll go under superintendent remarks. We'll start with trustee Smith.
Happy New Year. Yes, I do want to say to Dr. Mitchell and your staff, you're doing a wonderful job. To my understanding, I think we have 55 new students. I'm not sure, but that's what I heard. But what I really wanted to talk to you, let the community know that as of January the 8th, we have not, in this history since I've been on this board, had a personnel report with these many teachers that want to come to our district, licensed teachers. We have not had this in, I'm going to say, I've been on this board 6 years. For someone to want to come to East Chicago, as bad as everybody think that we are, they want to come here and enhance our community. And I'm looking at the volunteers and the other successful candidates for paras or whatever. This is, to me, this is history. But the sad thing about it is, because of the action that we held up the personnel report, we've lost some. That's a tragedy to me. If you say you're for the children and you want the children to learn, how are they going to learn without licensed teachers? How are they going to excel on their reading scores? Governor Wickham is trying to pour money into, I think it's for second graders to be able to read before they get into third grade. If not, they would be held back. Last week, when they walked out of here, and I'm not calling anybody's name, I'm not putting no blame on anybody, but this is the outcome that you get when you lose and when you don't work together. This right here is history. Go back and read your personnel report, January the 8th. We have never had these many certified teachers since I've been on this board to want to come and teach. Then to turn around and look at the personnel report on January 22nd and see that we've lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, my question is, are we here for these children? Are we here for self-ego, personal gain, or personal agenda? I don't know about you, but I don't need to be validated to be president because I am very assured who I am. I don't have to be secretary. I don't have to be on an executive position, period. My number one concern is that this district rise up to the level which I know they are capable of doing. But I'm going to say this, and no harm intended, and if you take it, let it be. This cannot continue. This was a tragedy what happened.
Yes, ma'am.
It was disgusting. Everybody's talking about this. I got phone calls from Washington, D.C., telling us, you need to get yourself together. It's not me. It's egos. Nobody here is getting the salary of President Obama or President Biden. We're here, President, to conduct an agenda and work with the superintendent to make this district better. I was devastated because how would you feel if you came to work for 2 weeks and you don't know if you're going to get your paycheck? How do you know you applied for a job and you're dependent upon to start this particular job and it's not approved? What does that say about us?
Amen.
What does that say about us? None of us are going to go working and not understanding where we're going to get our money from. To me, that was just devastating. I'm not calling any names, but I hope to God that you would think about what you do before you make those actions. Because you're not hurting me or anybody else on this board. You're hurting our children. So, hopefully, we can get past this, but this is history. But then to turn around and see 5 resign, that's not going to work. We can't continue to do the same thing. So drop the egos, drop the personal agendas, drop who I don't like, and head up toward the hills, which cometh our help, which cometh from Dr. Mitchell, which helping us taking our district to another level. And I'm done with that. Thank you.
Next, we have trustee Gibson King.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President here. I just want to say that not only today, but years back, I'm not going to expound on going backwards. We got to move forward. A lot of things have happened. A lot of people that's in this room and that's watching us live broad stream here knows the story. I don't even have to go into it. It's good to hear that someone has acknowledged it. It's very good to hear that it has finally been acknowledged, and I do hope that it continues to move forward instead of going backwards. Because a lot of time has been wasted, not just right now, a lot of time has been wasted with our children not getting the proper education that we all got at one time. So with that being said, I think that it's time for us to start focusing in on what is right, because I find myself on this board, on this side of the table, over there, I was there over there fighting, and I'm still fighting over here. So I'd like for all this fighting to stop and for us to start to being together as a board, not a dysfunctional board, but as a board. Because things can work for the children. We have to stay focused. I've been focused for a long time, what I'm supposed to be doing here, and not accusing anybody of anything else. But the focus needs to start with all of us sitting here And we have to keep focused on who is what's most important. Politics has no place for our children, but that's what's been happening for years since we've had an elected school board. It has been political. People have forgotten what they got voted in for. They campaign for these issues, and then they forget. So people see me out in the community. I tell them to come and come and get me. Don't just put me in office and then don't say nothing. Like that's the habit of what's been happening here. People put you in, then they don't see you no more until that time. No, I'm in my community every day doing something, being vocal. I can be at a fingertip anytime. So I've been sitting, coming, advocating, doing what is right. So it's good to hear some of this coming out at this time. It's good to hear all of this. So I think we need to move forward instead of going backwards. And thank you.
Trustee Gomez.
Thank you. Just reviewing personnel report for clarity. There was only one teacher that resigned, not 5. Resignations are very typical in school districts, unfortunately. For various reasons, teachers decide to move on. I actually met a teacher yesterday from Munster who is considering a move to another school district. So it's not a reflection of Munster, very good school district. That's just life in the field of education. Where I met that teacher was actually up in Chicago. Had the pleasure of meeting up with 40 of our kids from Lincoln Elementary at the University of Illinois Chicago campus, where kids actually got a chance to participate on the basketball court in play. And afterwards, they hung around and got signatures, autographs, I should say, from the players from the Chicago Flame. I want to thank, speaking of Carrie Gosh, Ms. Rancifer, for putting that field trip together. There was a solid activity. Her daughter actually plays on the same team that my niece is the athletic trainer for. So it was a great experience for East Chicago, for those kids, and I hope we continue doing things along those lines. I am curious, we talked about, reading earlier. So other school districts I know are in the state legislature is considering how they handle kids who are failing the iRead test, and I think they're a little draconian the way that they are looking at how they want to essentially punish kids. But this teacher I talked to yesterday from Munster was telling me that they employ the iRead 2. Dr. Mitchell, are you familiar with that?
Actually, what we've done to really address the literacy issue is we've partnered with Purdue Northwest. We've also partnered with Reading Horizons and several other programs that we have in. And I would also like to say that we have some really excellent teachers and instructional coaches that are zeroing in on literacy and making sure that our students are going to be better prepared. There's a lot of things that's happening with when you talk about normal testing, especially I'm going to say high stakes tests, is that many of those tests are biased, and we know that they're biased. I believe the state is running up against with the iLearn that test that they're saying that they're going to hold back third graders if they don't pass, that not only are urban schools screaming about it, that it's not right, it's not fair, that there's data that backs us up that says that doing that across the board without any type of rhyme or reason is more detrimental than supporting, putting the resources in place so that the student can succeed. And so now you have rural districts and suburban districts screaming the same thing that urban districts have been screaming from day one, is that give us the resources, take the handcuffs off, and let us do what we know how to do, and that is to educate children, teach them how to read and write, and do arithmetic. So there's so many other things that's going into this, that's really in regarding politics, that that we are beginning to address it. I shared with Trustee Gibson King some of the talking points that we have as urban school superintendents, and we have been caucusing and really coming up with a game plan how we're going to fight this. We realize that we can't fight it alone, that we're going to fight it together, and if we get a handful of us every week to go down and to vocalize that to whoever our elected officials are, but also going to the ones who are making these bogus bills, that will make a difference. So last week was my week, but because of the weather, we chose to do it virtually, but I'll be going down again, and we are advocating, I'm going to say strategically and calculating, so that this bill does not turn into law that will adversely affect not only our children here in East Chicago, but the children across the state of Indiana.
The Indiana School Board Association is going to be down there opposing that same bill. Excuse me. I hope we as a board can put together a resolution addressing that same issue. And I'm glad you brought up the reading comment you did. I know we approved the science of reading. I think we need to follow up on that. I'm just going to conclude with one thing here is that we did a MOU with Geminis, and I think Attorney Harris pointed out that I'll actually let him address this issue we approved.
I'm not sure which point you wanted to emphasize.
The question was asked, if there was a limit to how much money,
Oh, so we're on the receiving end of that deal in particular, on the Geminis deal. So I think that's something that, Dr. Metro, if you could kind of elaborate on that. I'm not sure in the overview that it was fully clear how positive that is, but we're on the receiving end of that.
The question that Trustee Gibson King asked was, Chairman Joel Rodriguez asked was it up to, and that particular portion was up to 5,000, not to exceed 5,000. But again, there's other streams of revenue that's in there that we'll be able to benefit from, but they're all net revenue to us as the school district.
No, I was just standing here just in case there were questions about the MOU, which I worked with Geminis on. It is up to $5,000. It's also a program that we use in Hammond, and as he stated, we are on the receiving end of that. So with each step, we will receive funds from that. So once you guys sign the MOU, I believe we get $1,500 to return that to Geminis. Then we also have training that will be provided to the teachers who will be implementing the strategies and the curriculum from the Too Good for Drugs program. Once the program has ended, we also get an additional $2,500 up to $5,000, I believe it was, for Central High School for the program. I think there's like 9 to 14 modules. But we're going to end up on the plus side of that. But the beautiful thing about this is our schools always suffer from finding monies to implement PBIS programs, incentivizing our students for good behavior. So the pots of money that we're going to receive from that will go to our student support services in each of those buildings blocked in Central High School, and they can start to have a robust PBIS program.
and PBIS, for those that don't know.
Oh, positive behavior.
That concludes my remarks.
Okay, thank you.
Next, we'll go into public forum. Attorney Harris.
If you could please step to the podium, you'll have 3 minutes for your public comment. State your name, your address. Please be respectful of the audience, the board members, and the staff. Thank you.
Trustee Gomez.
First speaker is Melvin Mobley.
Melvin Mobley, 3625 Pulaski Street. The only question that I have tonight is, well, there's two. You guys had an article in the paper, I believe in December the 26th, 27th, about the board opening. I sent the email on the 27th, I believe, 28th or 27th. But anyway, I sent it to you, Attorney Harris, and I never received any kind of response back. And the article at the end said you have to have your letter of interest in by January the 2nd, I believe. I sent it on the 27th or 28th, and I never heard anything back. And since I didn't hear a response back, the only thing that I heard was when my sister called me 4 or 5 days ago, and told me, I thought you told me you put a letter of interest in, and I told her I did. She said, well, they just had a meeting. I was just looking at it on YouTube, and they had 4 people up there speaking about that opening. But it was 10 applications given out. And at first I thought she was just, joking around and stuff, but she was really serious about it. I said, well, I just got to find out when the next meeting is to ask, why didn't I get a response? Now, that was the first question. The second thing was, I heard a couple of people mention about things that happened in the past in East Chicago and all of that. But the reason that things are not happening on the positive in East Chicago School District, and I've been coming to the meetings for the last 7 or 8 years, it's frustrating when you in your heart have the agenda on making it better for the community and especially the kids, because it's their agenda, it's not ours. But it gets frustrating when you come and you're speaking about things that are so simple to make decisions on, but you allow other things to get in between that, and that's where the problem starts when you play politics with children's lives. You have to leave your own personal agenda outside that door. Now, I've had people ask me the last 3 days, well, how come they didn't get a hold of you? You sent it in on the 27th. I said, well, hey, it's going to be all right. If not, it's still going to be all right, because I'm 100% behind the school district and these children. I did not send that letter in to be a part of the board to go backwards. I want to be a part of the board to go forward.
Thank you.
Thank you.
3 minutes are up.
Mr. President, if I could, I'd like to
Sure,
address
Attorney
the comment.
Harris.
So, sir, if you could stay after the meeting, I want to get your contact information. I'll check my email to see how I could have missed your email, but let's talk about that. If it's something that was missed, I'll address it with the board at their executive session, which is going to be this Wednesday. Okay?
Next speaker is Ken Monroe.
I don't want to speak. I just heard a lot of talk. See how good it is.
Mr. Chairman, that
That concludes.
is the end of our speakers, yes.
Thank you, Trustee Gomez. Our next date and time for the next meeting will be Monday, February 5th, 2024. Do I hear a motion to adjourn?
February the 5th, right?
February 5th, 2024, yes. Do I hear a motion to adjourn? Motion made by Trustee Smith. Is there a second? I'll second the motion. Madam Secretary, roll call.
Trustee Gibson King?
Yes.
Trustee Gomez?
Yes.
Trustee Smith? Chairman Rodriguez?
What day is, training in February?
Meeting adjourned, thank you.